Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? Oh, boy. Any of you all seen movie Trading Places? When Winthorpe wakes up and he goes, "It was a dream. It was all just a bad dream." Well, um, yeah. Then he sees Valentine. Oh my goodness. I've never experienced anything like we saw yesterday. I've never seen a sitting president and the CEO of a Fortune 500 company get into a lovers' quarrel and publicly air their grievances. That's a first. I've seen two stock promoters, you know, high on whatever substances they were, get into a fight, but this I've never seen. Not at that level of corporate responsibility or lack thereof. So yesterday we had a nice flush because of all the drama. We had a nice flush and destroyed what 152 billion dollars in market cap of Tesla. And the wholesalers had to take that all in here. Now, it's done two things. Number one, it flushed out all of this inventory down here. Number two, what it did is it's got people short under 59.56, which is helping the market stay above 64 because they're front running that level. And once again, now with the NFP news, the shorts are trapped underneath 59.88. So you get a 2-for-1 deal. You get to clean out the inventory, right? Shake the tree, grab all the cheap stuff, go sell it higher, and you get a nice short position that you can leverage to hold price up. Okay? Now, I'm not saying any of this was done on purpose, but whether it's done on purpose or not, the mechanics are the same. Okay? The mechanics are the same. People were expecting lower prices, so they shorted the hell out of this thing going into the close. They're trapped under 59.56, and they added to it all night here between 68 and 76. So now they're trapped here. We've got single prints, and I left the old overnight high in to show you that the cost basis of the Globex session is underneath that old overnight high. Overnight inventory is a what, 95% long? Maybe more? We're looking for a correction to overnight inventory lower. Right now you can see on the 1-minute chart that they're distributing. Whatever they had to buy up here, they're trying to move it up here. The old point of control was here. It moved up, so we've had successful distribution through the entire Globex session. And, it's Friday. So let's see how much. We've got a poor high now in the overnight. We've got seller competition up here. Now we are going to open inside yesterday's range and inside yesterday's cost basis. See? It's almost like business as usual, right? There is no change to the business. After all that drama, right, and hair pulling, right? And temper tantrums. That's really it. No change, right? No change. We're opening inside yesterday's range and cost basis. Business as usual. Unbelievable. That's what I love about this business, you know? The one thing I really love about this business is just when you think you've seen everything, they pull something like this. It's fascinating. Just when you think you've seen everything that you could possibly see, right? I'm, you know, just when you think you've seen everything. I mean, come on, I've seen some stuff. I've seen dirty FBI agents short public companies and then go shake the CEOs down for stock. I've seen I've seen arms dealers move money through the markets. I've seen some pretty crazy stuff, but I've never seen a sitting president. I've never seen a sitting president and the CEO of a Fortune 500 company go at it like that. That's one for the books. Unbelievable. Right? Could you imagine Henry Ford getting into an argument with a sitting president? Crazy. Just crazy, folks. So welcome everybody. I'm JJ. This is the Trading Syndicate. And what we do here is we try and make sense out of the market so regular normal people can make a buck. Right? Everything we do is based on common sense. Right? Exactly, Doc. What are you doing still awake? I hope you had a nap. You've been at it. Worked the night shift and now you're trading. It is a bit embarrassing, isn't it, Info Risk Trader? It's supposed to be the most prestigious market. The only good thing is, the U.S. is still the only game in town, right? Right, so you got nowhere else to go. You either join the circus or try and do business in another country. Good luck. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's this. The last 24 hours have been rather surreal, and I've seen some stuff. Right? You know, I was writing my book when I was away for the last 4 days. I was trying to finish it up, and I was like, oh my God, how did I get in these situations? But yesterday just takes the cake. So how are we going to trade this now? Well, I'm looking for a correction to overnight inventory, but unfortunately we got this big short position between 75 and 84. So we can't really do anything until we break that bid here, right? Till we take out 84. Oh, it's yes. It's a holiday for you. I understand. That's good. Hope you get some rest. So, before we get started here, right? Little plug for the room. If you're enjoying the stream and you want to help keep it free, consider joining the Trading Syndicate. That's where I teach and trade all day live. And you get direct access to me and other pros, right? So no matter what you trade, if you trade oil, if you trade crypto, come check us out. We collaborate on trades, and we really our goal is to get people profitable and help them manage risk, right? With the special discount in the description, it's about 50 cents a day. It's cheaper than going to Starbucks every day, and you don't get indigestion from that acidic coffee. You can go month to month, so you can cancel any time. And we'll teach you how to trade OPM. So we teach you how to get fully funded to trade with our friends at Apex Trade Funding. And their discount code is also in the description, so please check that out. And now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So we've got good distribution over 59.90 right now. And see if we can lift these offers up. And kind of what we're trying to do is probably move that value area up or that point of control up so we can get rid of, look at that, a double top. See that? So that just tells us there's selling competition before that 99 stop. Thanks, Super. Hey, Rudy, how you doing? I know, Rudy, I know I'll get you those Russell levels. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to do that. My bad. A Friday high close after yesterday is just insult, right? There you go. Beautiful, Doc. That's a beautiful demonstration of the P, right? You can see the short covering. It's clear as a bell. So now we're putting in a new overnight high. As the shorts come into cover, right, the people who hold the inventory just keep raising price. Right? This is one of those scenarios like in the old days, if you were trading on the phone, you know, and they're calling to buy and you're like, I don't have any left at that price. You could just hear the screams and they're cursing you out on the phone. F you, JJ. I was like, I'm sorry my seller went away. But, you know, they'll sell you size 10 handles up. Ah, you bastard. Right? So now it's electronic, so there's no screaming and yelling. There's only screaming and yelling with the president. Unbelievable. I don't see a short yet. Now, folks, pay attention to these candles. Do you see this? Do you see this candle formation? I don't know what you guys call this in candle charting, but that's very deliberate. That's very, very deliberate, right? That's one time framing higher on the 1 minute candle. The lows are higher, and that means that the buyers are chasing price higher. And because of the magic of algorithms, this is that little pop again, right? And it's getting people bought in and bought in. You don't want to short that kind of a candle pattern, right? That's where you want to go with. So when you see a pattern like that, don't just go and try and preemptively short it, because this is the front end of the move, right? This is the move that suckers all the buyers in so we can sell them inventory at a higher price. Right? Now they're going to backfill. So when they backfill, look to 59.97 for bids. So this creates demand, and this red candle now is going to go back and fill in that demand with supply. And as soon as they see a large buyer, they'll stop selling and raise the offer. Right? Yeah, and if you were just starting out trading this morning, Jaden, you could use that as a balance. You could use 90.95, right? There's a nice balance there. Right? So it backfills for a minute, which brings in buying. See, what happens is a lot of people get sucked in to shorting that backfill, looking for lower. But all that red candle does is it gives people the opportunity to come in and buy a little cheaper. 6,008 AZS, I think so. Why is that level so familiar? Why is 6,000? There's a stop up here. Yeah, I've got 8.5. But we're in the same neighborhood. right? So now this is the pain move, right? Anyone who's short under 95, anyone who shorted this, now they're being forced to scramble, right? Exactly. They're going to jam this thing until the shorts cry uncle, and then they'll sell it down, right? This is penny stock 101 being applied to the most prestigious market in the world. Right? Now, the rule in trading is when you know that you've got someone cornered, you got to put the screws to them. You know? If you know the shorts are really trapped, you know, it's your moral obligation, right, to squeeze them as hard as you possibly can. Now we're going to backfill again. Now let's see where we backfill to. I'll be watching just under 98. You remember before I went away last week, I said, you know, hopefully I get back and we get some nice stable market action. You remember that? Anybody in the room remember that? I said, hey, you know what? Next month, things will settle down, get back to normal, right? And look, we just tagged that level to the tick. Caught a bid, another new overnight high. Right? I just said that, right? I said, you know, how much more drama could there be? Right? Seriously, how much more drama could there be? I thought it's all April was done. Look at this. What a gong show. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not long, wait. Wait for the sellers to show themselves. Wait for the sellers to get desperate and start lowering the offer. Then think about shorting. Till then, right, you know, don't go shorting the front end of the move, right? No reason to short the front end of the move. Oh, we're only like 6 months into this presidency, eh? Feels like 6 years. Right? It's going to be a long 4 years. It's going to be a long 4 years. It's a good thing. The good thing is that we have our edge. And our edge lies in the setup. And thank goodness we have that. Right? It feels like I'm running a marathon trying to keep track of this kooky market. Yeah, at least we're entertained. Eh? You know, at least we have our edge. And our edge happens, you know, only when the business conditions suit the way we do business, then we execute. And then until then, we can just kind of chill out. My target is about 6,008, and then of course yesterday's high. And everybody woke up this morning thinking this thing was going to blow off. Whose side am I on? I'm on the side of mature, responsible corporate leadership, Agatha. See, my side is the investor. I'm on the side of the person who buys stock and puts it away for 30 years, trying to do something with it, trying to build. That's whose side I'm on. These clowns come and go, right? But I'm on the side of people who are trying to make a buck so they can support their families. I'm not on any politician's side. I grew up, my father wrote speeches for politicians, so I have an inherent distrust of them. And working in the stock market for 3 decades, um, you know, that's why I do this. You know, I want people who work hard for their money to be able to invest it in a secure environment, in a stable environment, where there's responsible corporate leadership. All that crap they teach at Harvard and Wharton, which seems to have been thrown out the window in the last 5 years. Right? That's whose side I'm on. Oh, God. Jaden, don't put that out there. The last thing we need now is a gap on a Friday. Don't put that bad mojo out there. That's brutal. Right? I just want normal people to make a buck. Right? Oh. Did you look at the profile shape of this thing? Look at these profile shapes. This is just ridiculous. Look at this. Short position under 76. Another short position under 96. Going for that previous day high. Jaden, if we open on a gap, we're blaming it on you, okay? Yeah, the Vancouver Stock Exchange. Yep. Those are the guys who trained me, the ones who were in that video. Hey, I am listening. How you doing? Good to see you. Speaking of Tesla, let's see how it's doing here pre-market. 297. Now, I think for those of you who are watching Tesla, here's your cost basis. There's the distribution. They sold the market right back to cost basis. So yesterday I said if we break 271, you're in trouble. Yesterday's low was around 273. Okay. Pre-market, early morning, we did a little dip below 294.84. If we can stay above 294, you'll see this thing creep back up. Once we start getting up into that 300 range, there's going to be some resistance, of course, right? Because all these poor people who got trapped long and didn't get out yesterday, you know, they'll think about coming out of this thing, you know. So there's some levels for you to watch going forward in Tesla, right? Yeah, sure, Howard. There you go. All right, here we go. There's a little backfill. So this is the back end now, right? So if you are shorting, right? Sorry, I was going on about Tesla. So say you're short 6,006, right? We came close to 8, right? put in that high as 6,007. So if you're short there, your stop should be just at the top of these two candles, right? And your first target is just going to be around 6,000. Now they're going to front run 6,000 because that's how business works. There's the front run right here. And if we stay under 3.5, you can stay short. Oh, I think there were a lot of margin calls on Tesla, Agatha. I think a lot of poor folks got margined out of that stock yesterday. It wiped out $152 billion in market capitalization in one day. That's a lot of cheddar. I think there was margin selling all over the place because Tesla got hit and people who were using Tesla to margin something else had to sell that. Bitcoin got hit. Any risk asset, which is everything now, got hit. You know. So if you're short 6, 5, how can you tell? It's the business. How many people do you know who can actually afford to buy 1,000 shares of Tesla and pay for it in cash? Like, how many people do you know can buy 300, 400 grand worth of stock and pay for it in cash? Not many, right? So a huge amount of people are not only trading, but they're investing using margin, borrowed money. So if you were short, the inability to take out 6,000 in that front run means that you should have covered. Okay? Yeah. So if you don't know anybody who can afford to buy 1,000 shares of Tesla for cash, how many people do you know who trade and invest? Probably quite a few, right, friends? Well, they all got margined out because they were trading OPM. They were trading borrowed money. There's a book written in 1873. It's called Inside Life on Wall Street. They talk about exactly what I'm talking about now. So between 1873 and 2025, nothing has changed. People who buy stock with cash don't have to sell it. People who buy stock and borrow money to buy stock get margined out. It's been that way for hundreds of years. It's nothing new. Right? Exactly, Moran. It's not a new concept. Margin is not a new concept. I highly recommend that book to anyone who likes to read. William Worthington Fowler. And you can get it on Google Books for free. And we're off. Now, let's see what we do. There's a seller at 3.5. If we get above the open, be careful on the short side, right? If we lose that seller at 3.5, be careful shorting, okay, folks? Get your bids in, right? I'm short 6,001, covering at 6 3/4. 6.5. I'm scalping, and I scratch the rest. Right? Yep. I scratched that because we're starting to lose that 3.5 seller. Right? No gap. That's the last thing we need on a Friday, Jaden. Good grief. Like Dennis the Menace with that gap. Let's see if we can take that overnight high. See how they're front running the overnight high? They're selling into it. So if you sold the overnight high, your stop would be above the overnight high, just like before, because we know that there's going to be sellers right here. Right? The sellers are right there. Right? So right now I'm watching the open and the overnight high. If we can hold over the open, and we're not yet. Inventory is ridiculously long, right? There will be inventory for sale. So we have sellers. Now, if you're a short, right, 6,007 is where your sellers are. And if you're shorting this thing and you lose that 7 seller, then you know you're in trouble, right? That's how you manage your risk, right? As soon as you lose that seller, you've lost it. Your backup's gone, right? Your backup's gone, right? Anybody got the breath off the open? Well, we've got enough people trapped short, I am listening, in a big way, right? We've got enough people trapped short that I think we're going to take a run at yesterday's high. 620. If we take out yesterday's high, I'm looking for 19 and a quarter. So we're kind of in the same neighborhood. 5.7 to 1, that's pretty decent breath. Right? Little stop run over the overnight high, but we stopped short. Now, folks who are new to trading, if you're not getting this right away, don't worry. Let the market open and settle in a little bit, okay? You don't need to go crazy, okay? Just watch, spend some time learning. These are unusual market conditions, right? There's that creep. Thanks, Telek. Much appreciated. Seller at 6. The more people who short this thing, the more bids we'll get. Right? You don't have to trade the first half hour. It is, Al, it is like a bar fight, right? It really is. Right? I'll scalp long, but I'm not putting on any size. See, that seller's still there, right? So remember that if you're scalping long. If we start taking the bottom of these candles, then we'll be in trouble for the longs, right? I was just curious, Jaden. So right now the breath is 4.63 to 1, which means there's 4 times more buying volume in the New York Stock Exchange than selling, right? Now, it's not something I trade off of. It's kind of like it's kind of like getting a read of the market, like what the temperature is outside, right? This is that slow, creepy price action that I have a severe distrust for. There we go. All right, I bought 2 contracts at 6. I sold them at 8.5. Now, we haven't taken a run at that previous day high yet. Where do you find that number? Hey, Ralphie, long time no see. That number is available in Sierra Chart under Market Stats. And it will be represented as $VOLD. Everyone should be suspicious. Now, it'd be a shame not to run that high from yesterday. Right? That'll force a lot of short covering. And there it is. Right? So next level for me is 12. If we can stay over 9. Now we're going to backfill a little bit. Remember, on an opening, the more people who short this, the more buyers we're going to have. Because those shorts eventually have to come in and cover. Right? You can get really offside really quickly shorting these markets. And that slow, creepy price action that we saw in the 6006s, see, you could almost feel these people getting trapped right here, right? You could feel them. And that's what's helping push up now. Oh. Well, the circus continues, right? So this is 8 times profit. And hopefully they come in and sell it here, because then I've got to draw 16 of these things on top, which is a pain. I'll go 4 for now. Let's see if we can get over 16.25. Okay. Once again, I don't see a short just yet, right? When this happened, this was my clue not to short it. Now, I didn't go long until later, right? I should have been quicker, and I should have been going long here, right? Instead of going long up here. But I'm a little slow since I got back from being away for a few days. So I'll blame that on being a little slow-witted. Yeah. Looking for 16.25. Close. Boom, there it is. 16.5. Now these big green candles, these are the shorts realizing that they're trapped. They're all trying to cover at the same time. And the people who are long under 59.98 are just raising price, making them chase it like a kitten, chasing that ball of string, right? Now, look above and fail of 16.25. Let's see. If it starts accepting over 17, be careful on the short side, okay? You know what? And Raj called us yesterday. Where are you? He said they're just going to dump it, clean out the inventory, and short squeeze it into Friday. Coming up on my 19 and a quarter, and that's this level here. Where's my mouse? Next level is 19 and a quarter. And then we've got some old upper stops at 60.28. But let's see if we can take out the 19 and a quarter. There it is. How many trap shorts does it take to screw in a light bulb? Oh. Oh, the humanity. Exactly. Exactly, Jaden. Those round numbers like 6,000, right? Those are where a lot of people will execute. This is the worst feeling, is being trapped short on a Friday. Right? Remember, now that this market is over 6,000, all the short-term inventory, right, is underneath us, which really doesn't help short sellers a lot. It's brutal. That was really, yeah, that's one for the history books. How's Crazy Tesla doing? Yeah, close to 300 bucks. Oh, thanks, Billy. Right back at you. Ray. Yeah, Ray's my partner with the Confessions. He's great. Ray's in the equity part of the room. I do the futures. Ray does the stocks. And he's also gotten really good with, you know where he's making a lot of money these days? And I know nothing about it. Is that whole sports betting thing? Guys like Jimmy the Greek. Like, he's got the line on everything. He knows all of that stuff. I don't even know what they're talking about in there. Ray's always been a pioneer with that stuff. Ray was one of the first guys to, Jesus, look at this. Ray was one of the first guys to get into NFTs. Like early on, he was an early adapter, and he was able to get in at the lowest cost basis on the whole NFT thing, right? And then it got popular, and he sold into it. So he's really good at identifying new markets and figuring them out. So if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, drop by the room because he's got all that stuff worked out. I don't know what he's talking about half of the time, but he knows his stuff, right? Because he used to be he used to play poker professionally. So I don't know what he studies, Matt, but he knows his stuff, right? Yeah, we have like a whole, you know, uh, sports betting, NFT market, all of that stuff. It's all in one room now. Oh yeah, on some of those podcasts, I was like, okay, I'll just shut up and learn. Like I wouldn't even talk. I would just let Ray interview the guest, and I'd just try and sit and learn. It was like, which is good. You know, the old dog needs to learn new tricks, right? I won't do everything. I mean, I'm in Bitcoin, right? Right. I'm late to Bitcoin. But you know, after yesterday, one thing I like about Bitcoin is that there's no CEO in Bitcoin. You know, there's no CEO to come out and say something stupid. Are there times where a gap just gets left behind? Ah, that's a great question. Do all gaps fill? Now, it's a popular theory that all gaps fill, right? But the thing is, right? The thing with gaps is the order flow has to be there to fill them. So if you have a big gap up and 6 months later you have a big sell off, then it'll fill. But there, we have gaps going back years that haven't filled. That's why you don't just automatically short a gap. Look at the volume over 22 coming in. That's some heavy duty short covering. We should backfill back down under 20 now. Let's see if we do. There's 20, half, three quarters. Oh, there's 19s. Okay. Good, good, good. This is a little backfill. How often do I live stream? Twice a day. I live stream at 2:30 in the morning New York time and 9 a.m. New York time. Twice a day. 5 days a week. I am not. I have actually never been a market maker. I was the guy who fed market makers order flow. So what I was the executing trader for insiders. So Billy, if you took a company public, right, I would sell your stock. So I had relationships with market makers, and they would call me and show me buy orders, and I would sell them stock. Of course it's legal. It's a market. Goldman Sachs does it every day. You realize the reason a market exists is to sell you something, right? That's just business. Yeah, it's penny stock action in the most massive market in the world, and supposedly the most prestigious. I am listening. Insiders are the smart money who take companies public, Billy. So say you take a company public, you own the stock at, say, half a cent. Then we take the company public at $2. And then we take the stock from $2 to $20. And then we help you sell your stock. So when you take a company public, you have hundreds of millions of shares of what we call insider stock. And I help the insiders turn that stock into hundreds of millions of dollars. There's the volume point of control up here at 21. Let's see if we can get a backfill of any decency now, right? So if you are short over the 22s, right, I'd say you'd be looking for bids, ooh, right about there. Right, so the insiders are the smart money. They're ones who have the lowest cost basis. So say you're buying a stock at 5. Did I have my line in the right space? Yeah, I was close. I was off by a tick or two. Right? So say you buy a stock at 5. I'm selling you that stock, but my guys paid maybe 3 cents for it, and they're selling it to you at $5. That's how the business works. Wholesale, retail. Right? That's why the market exists. For smart money to exit their investment positions into the retail flow so they can take that money and invest in other companies. Just keep doing it. Not a bad backfill. That's not bad. Right? 22 down to 16. That's not bad. I'll take that. Now, can we get any kind of inventory correction? Right? It's just like when you go to Walmart, right? They buy 10,000 TVs from China, right? But they sell it to you at a profit. They have to make money, right? It's the same thing. So whether we're selling TVs or whether we're selling rugs or spices or, you know, there's a wholesale price and a retail price, right? That's why they call it a market. That's why it's not called the stock hot tub. My typical hold time, usually no longer than 3 minutes. I'm in and out. Now, if I didn't teach, if I didn't do other deals, if I didn't consult, and I did nothing but trade, I would hold trades longer. I would try to hold trades longer. But right now, what I like to do, my perfect trade is 3 to 5 points on 3 to 5 contracts. Right? So if I make 3 points on one contract, it's $150. Right? Multiply that by 3. Do that trade twice a day. Manage your risk. Make your daily bread. Right? And that's what I teach. I teach people how to make a little money, learn how to trade without blowing up their accounts, learn the business reason for the trade, right? Like, say we had gone long 17, put our stop at 16, sell the 20s, right? A couple of minutes to take that trade, make 300-400 bucks, done, right? Now, a lot of traders want to make 20-30 points a trade. I got nothing wrong with that. But if you don't know how to make 2 to 3 points, how the hell are you going to make 30 points a trade? You got to learn and build it up. Learn, build your skill, build your reaction time, right? And more importantly is we teach you when not to trade. So we like to trade from the edges. So when the market fails to take out a level, you can go long. Or if it looks below the level and comes back up, you can go long, right? When it's futzing around like this, you leave it alone. 5 p.m. My closing price is 5 p.m., Anton. I want to know where they put all the goodies at the end of the day. Now, there's a look below, 16 1/4, right? But if I wanted to short it, I need the market to get under 16 1/4. Try a little one, 15 3/4 short. Fill me at 13 3/4. Boom, flat. little scalp short, right? Because I waited until it got under 16 and a quarter. The sellers showed themselves. I hit it, right? I hit the bid, and then I put a 13 and 3/4 bid in to buy it back. That was just one contract, right? That was a test. Now, where you're looking for support is going to be right here. Previous day high is where everybody's trapped short. So you'll see some buying as we come into here. Right? All I'm doing is on that short was just shorting the backfill. Higher market time frame? Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, Sonny, right? The chart that you see on the right, that's the market profile chart, right? And this shows me basically, if you looked at it, it's like a map of the city, right? This is the map of the neighborhood I'm in. That's it. Nice work, RC. Yeah, there's happy hour tonight, right? In the room? We'll be around for that. Lets us unwind a little bit. It's like in the old days, after the close, we'd all go to the bar. Okay, so now we've got some selling, finally, right? So we have a seller at 16 and a quarter. As long as that seller stays there, right? And if you're short, I'd be looking at 60-10, like right here. But if it gets back up over this blue line, be careful if you're short. And you'd be looking for your first cover just around here. Here's your risk. We have some decent podcasts coming up this month and next. Ray and Steve book the podcasts. They do all the tough work getting the guests and stuff. See, look how it's just kind of stuck. So this is what I'm afraid of in the short, right? I need that seller to be here. See, if it starts crawling over 16 and a quarter, starting to lose that seller. If we take out this blue line, then I know the seller is gone. See? That's why I was like, that's where your risk is, right? Brutal. And here's B period. Oh, my goodness. Going to check out that 16 and a quarter again. Let's see if we hold it. That is one of them. He has two Tampa Chris. There's that one, and then there's Inside Life on Wall Street. We can get above. There we go. Not ready to go yet. See, that seller is still here at 17. If we clear that, you can go long, grab a little, and sell into the 19s. Inside Life on Wall Street, Chris, is a really it's like I think 600 pages. But the cool thing about it is it details all of the really famous stock operations, like when Vanderbilt took Harlem Railroad to $1,000 a share. Stuff like that, like historic stuff, right? Sellers back at 18. See if that 15, 16 seller is there. And you want that B low to get pushed down, right? There's the middle of the range so far. Short a little at 15 and a quarter. Got a 14 bid in on one. Can I get a fill or do I have to scratch? Oh, come on, fill me. There we go. Filled and done. Nice work, RC. Have a good weekend. Beautiful. 25 points. It's a beautiful thing. Enjoy your weekend. See, that's the way to do it. You know, you make your money and then you get the hell away before you give it back. Right? Yeah, I would really work. Just so you guys are, just so you know, all of that imbalance stuff is really not going to help you with your trade execution. Just so you know, right? Really, it's very hard to quantify that and trade it. Trading is really simple. Just look for the buyer, look for the seller. Get in between the two, manage your risk, right? There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of this stuff that's made up to sound fancy, right? If you're short, there's got to be a seller. When the seller goes away, flip to the long side. Trading is not rocket science. So, I was talking to a guy who works at Bonnie before we started, and that's Bank of New York. And he's like, retail traders like totally overcomplicate so much stuff, right? There's no need to overcomplicate it. You don't really have to worry about it. And I don't mean any offense, but when we talk about imbalance in trading, that's somebody who needs psychiatric help. So, sorry, that's very politically incorrect, right? Right there you go. 4 points is beautiful, right? There's so much of these words like imbalanced and unfinished business means that you need to go to the bathroom. All that stuff is just BS, right? Where the hell's the bid? Where do I put my buy order? Where do I put my stop? And do I have a hope in hell of making any money on this trade? How do I tell? All of these terms like imbalances, unfinished business, all that stuff is all smoke and mirrors, right? It's all fancy BS, right? It's not going to help you make any money, right? The best thing you can do as a retail trader is watch the offer, right? Like right now, the market's offered under 16 and a quarter. If they see buyers, they'll raise the offer, right? What are you trying to do? Anton, are you trying to make money or are you trying to like write a white paper about balance? right? Don't worry about all that stuff. Focus your attention. Focus your attention on what is your trade setup. Under what conditions do you do business? Where do you place your risk? And how do you know whether that trade is going to be successful? What's the business reason for the trade? Everything else you can throw out. For example, I know that there's a seller at 17, right? Well, if you want to learn how the market moves, watch the seller, right? So there's a seller here. If those sellers see buyers lining up, they'll raise price. It's really simple. You don't have to worry about imbalances or unfinished business or eating prunes. That's all nonsense, right? Just watch the offer. If the market's offering lower, sellers are competing and putting the crap on sale. Once they find large buyers, they'll move the offer up, right? If it's chopping around a certain area, it means business is slow at that level. That's all it is, right? Just keep it simple, folks. Don't fill your head with all this mumbo jumbo, right? Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate your life. Right? Now look, we're starting to offer over 16 and a quarter, which means the sellers have seen some buyers and they're raising price. Right? We know that there's a seller at 17 and a half. They sold there before, they'll sell there again. Right? This is not an optimum place to take a trade. Right? Once we offer over 17 and we clean out those sellers here, right? Then the market will lift and the next seller will be at 19, top of that candle. If we clean out the 19s, we'll look for 21 and a half, right? But this is just chop right now. And this is distribution. Accumulation, distribution, right? Accumulation, distribution, right? Very simple. And do yourself a favor. Don't trade the last 10 minutes before the closing bell. That's not for you guys, right? That's not for you guys. That's for large traders to manage their blotters, right? That's when the trucks go back to the loading docks. Stay out of there, you're going to get hit by a forklift. Let's see if we can clean this thing up to the 20s. Offer lifting means they've seen buyers. Offer moving down means sellers are competing and have to lower price. Right? That's as simple as that. There's nothing more complicated than that. Right? The reason I know this is because for 20 years I've been the offer. I've been the seller of size. Right? I'm a distributor. Right? My clients never ask me, JJ, should I buy this stock? My clients put 10 million shares of stock in an account, and then they call me at the end of the day and go, JJ, what was the volume? Well, it traded 3 million shares today. How much did we sell? We sold 950,000. Okay, see you tomorrow. Click. They don't care how much we sold it at. All they care about is how much did we sell out of the total volume traded. And we better be 30% minimum. Okay. Let's see if we can get down to that 60-10 level. Remember? Let's see if we can get down here, right? Just nice and calm. I'm looking at 10 because they're going to front run 9. Come on. Give me a couple more ticks. And we're dropping in. Finally, Jaden. Right? We're close. We came close to 10. Close. Caught a bid from those trap shorts under 9. They're front running it. But I think we've trapped enough people above 13. Let's see if we've got some supply. The problem with this market is that it runs out of supply just when everybody goes and shorts it. Magically, it just runs out of supply. It is the most frustrating thing for short sellers, right? These markets have changed a lot in the last 20 years. And 2005 was a big structural change in the markets. And then, of course, after COVID. So how does this help you practically? Well, what it does is, say you were short the top of that red candle and it couldn't take out 60-10. Well, pay yourself. Take your 5 points and be happy, right? In 2005, Chris, they introduced a rule change in the markets called Regulation SHO, which means you had to borrow stock in order to short it. This completely changed the way that equity trading, the mechanics of equity trading. And it set up the next 20 years, other than the financial crisis, where the market is now geared specifically for people to go long. That's why shorting the market for any length of time is very difficult. Right? And that's why at the Trading Syndicate we teach you how to short in an intelligent manner. Right? First, identify that there's a seller. If you cannot identify if there's a seller, there's no reason to short the market. Most people get trapped because they're always shorting the front end of the move, where they should be shorting the back end. Right? Once you identify the seller, and the sellers have to compete, then you can short the back end of the move. Right? Yeah, so Regulation SHO was introduced in 2005, and it bans naked shorting, which means you have to borrow stock before you short it. In the old days, you could short just like ES. You just just sell the bid, sell the offer. You didn't have to borrow anything. It was also another way for brokerage firms to do a cash grab, because to now short stock, you gotta borrow it and you gotta pay a fee, right? So more fees. So as we got rid of commission-based, as we got rid of the commission-based revenue generation model of the equity markets, we introduced a more fee-based revenue generation model, and this is just an extra fee. Let's see if we can clear out those 1718s. There's been a persistent seller there. Yeah, I wouldn't call it a trend day yet, Travis. We're still only 2 periods in, and we have not had any kind of significant correction to overnight inventory. But the one thing is, Travis, you're right. If we can stay over 60-20, be careful shorting this thing. Like right now, it's okay to short it, right? Because you know we've got a seller here, right? There's sellers here. They've been there all morning. If we lose that seller, right, that's where they're price competing. And you can short against that level because that's where your risk is. Let's see if we can get down to 10 again. Oh. This is a bit of a choppy mess right now. Right? Every time we get close to this level, the people who are trapped short under the previous day high, under yesterday's high, they front run and come in and start buying. Right? Exactly. We need, you know, so if we can't break that, eventually, if enough people short this and we run out of supply, then we'll go blast the 19s, right? You know, it's amazing. People are like, why doesn't it ever go lower? It's like for any length of time, because people always get short in the hole, and they create that buying that's needed to hold a market up. Come on now, jeez, this is a bit painful. Shall we check in on old Muskosaurus and how's Tesla doing? 296. It's still holding that 294 area, right? We've looked below and failed 294.84 a couple of times. Drama continues. The drama continues. How's our volume? 221,000 contracts after almost an hour. Hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, it'd be nice before the session ends to see if we could get a touch of that 6,010, 6,009. But what I'm worried about is if we can't get underneath yesterday's high, it'll just rotate back up again. Because unfortunately, as you guys well know, the longer you hold a market stable, it'll attract buyers, right? All you need is some price stability and the buyers start coming in, right? It's just like when you see a lineup outside a nightclub. Everybody goes and stands in line. What's going on? It's supposed to be a hot club, right? So let's hope we get some liquidation and fill in some of those shorts because there's a ton of trap shorts underneath 6,000 and definitely under 59.90. You know, gosh, we're almost back to where we started. before his judgment day. That's a very frustrating pattern right now to trade. Let's see what happens. Anything else exciting? What's going on in equity in the wide world of equities? I have to resubscribe to my equity scanner to see what's popping. See, look at that. See the stability, right? We held that 6,012, couldn't take out 10. What does it do? It brings in buying. And if enough people short, right? Now we're going to start, right? You'll get unfinished business imbalance, which means you're a little off your rocker and you need to go to the bathroom, right? That's what that means, right? But look, we came and hit that seller pretty much to the tick, right? See, those sellers are right there. Well, folks, anybody have any questions? Anybody want to look at any deals, stocks? Shall we take a look and see what's going on? Oh, wait, we're coming down to 12 again. Hang on. I shouldn't change screens. PLTR? Yeah, hang on. Let me just... You guys keep an eye on that yesterday's high. Let's go and look at Palantir. I still don't know what this company does. But man, that's an impressive move. How they brought this thing from $10 up the way to 133. Beautifully done. Right now trading 124s. Seems to have selling at 133, 134 as we get up there. How's Nvidia? Oh, almost back up to 144.78. Old Microsoft. Let's see if Microsoft can stay above 469 going into the Friday close. Meta, man, that Meta is a thinly traded stock. Look at that. Right, flushed down to 479, right back to $700 a share. Unbelievable. Google, I never look at Google. The old Amazon rainforest back to 212. And Crab Apple, not much going on with Apple, eh? They got rid of their flying car. Not much going on. Their whole AR, VR headset thing. It was funny watching people walk around the street with that thing on. Man, we still can't take out 6,012. Very frustrating. Well, folks, I'm just going to hang around for the next 3 minutes and see if we can get down to 6,010. Watch, as soon as I get off stream, it'll actually show some movement. This is all just forced buying right here. Nobody really wants to buy it. Nobody really wants to buy it. They just have to close out their shorts. So once again, folks, please come by the trading syndicate. Give us a shot. Try it for a month. Right? We'll teach you how to properly trade this market and manage your risk. Right? We'll get rid of things like FOMO and revenge trading and all that nonsense. Right? We'll teach you some practical ways to actually make a buck while managing your risk. And we have a few laughs too. Right? No sense being in finance if you can't develop a sense of humor. Yeah, I guess for scalpers, shorting 16, covering 13, that's been working pretty much. But my eyes need a break. Do you guys want to do a price action lab tonight? I'll do one. I'll be there at 11 in the coaching room. And we'll go over what you need for those in the coaching class, the mentoring class. And I thank everyone for watching and being with us this morning. Oh, look. We finally took out the 10s. Look at that. Previous day high to the tick. Now we got some selling. Finally. See, it took an hour to correct inventory, even slightly. Right, there's the overnight high to the tick. There we go. Right. Now, be careful trying to buy this thing until it reestablishes a bid. Okay? Thank you, everyone, for being with us. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. The rest of you I'll see at 11 o'clock in the Price Action Lab in the mentoring room. Have a wonderful weekend. Be safe out there. And I appreciate all of you being there this week. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.